you're all well. If you are new around here, hello, it's lovely to meet you. And if you are returning, thank you very fucking much for coming back. My name is Alana and I'm a 35-year-old lady living in Scotland, and that is where the accent is from. In this channel, we predominantly like to talk about beauty, skincare, hair care, lifestyle, vloggery bullshit with a liberal sprinkling of sarcasm and cynicism thrown in on top. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, you know, there's a little subscription button in the corner, all that YouTuber bullshit, give it a thumbs up, blah, blah, blah. In this video, I am going to be creating this look, but it is not a tutorial video, I'm sorry to break your hearts. But just so you know, I am using something from Tom Ford, it's very fucking expensive. And you know that I like to throw in whether or not I think things are actually fucking worth it. So I am going to make this look, but this video is actually something I'd seen AZELAIC do a few years ago and just repeated this year. And it is the Unpopular Opinions makeup tag. It is not a new tag, it has been around since I want to say circa 2016, 2018. It's been around a little while. So I'm going to be answering those questions and telling you in my very ruthless cutthroat style a lot of things about makeup. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, just keep on watching. I have my new Vive hair clips here. I'm going to pop them on because, as I say, it doesn't matter about my hair, it's a mess. I curled it yesterday. This is what it's like a day after it's been curled. I actually don't mind second day curls, but I usually will pop a few waves on the top again because my hair is poker straight. Like, I've said it a million times, if you're new around here, you maybe don't know, but my hair is naturally very, very straight. Like, I've used a fucking GHD to straighten it. And I hate that. I like it to have a little wave in it. So I'd seen that AZELAIC had done the Unpopular Makeup Opinions, is that right? Wait there. Unpopular Opinions makeup tag. It's been around for years, it's not a new thing. And I thought, that sounds like my kind of negative shit. Like, I could jump on that and be like, I have an unpopular opinion on this, as you know. Also, can you see this? You know when people talk about baby bangs? I think that right there might be what I'm growing. So, and I also picked up another couple of things from Oma that I bought with my own money, not PR. And I picked up their One and Done, and this is like their brow. Has it got a name, a proper name? One and Done, but what is it called? They're One and Done 2-in-1 brow styler. So I thought I would give that a go because I didn't get anything brows from them. And I picked up another one of their It's Complicated lip and oil gloss, lip tint oil and gloss. They sent me two in Classy and Ping, and I picked up the shade Yas, which is like, I would say much more of a neutral. It's maybe more pink, but I am going to try this because actually what I've realised is these work quite well as a cheek tint as well. Hear me out, we'll maybe give it a go. I also picked up some more stuff from Studio London. If you've been seeing me talk about them over on Instagram, they are a really, really budget friendly brand in Superdrug at the moment. They have always been in Superdrug, but they were more accessories like tweezers and things like that before, whereas now they are doing makeup at a very, very affordable price point. Alright, so I've put on a little bit of base. I'm not going to go into, as I said already, what everything is. I've gave you a rough idea of what I'm using. I'll mention it throughout the video. But I've put on the It Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC with a little bit of Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless as well as my base today. And the first question on the Unpopular Opinions tag is a popular makeup product that you don't like. I could probably tell you about a million different makeup products that I'm not really into that people absolutely adore. I've mentioned before when Bad Gal Bang came out from Benefit, I fucking hated it. I think it's terrible. I'm trying to think about more recent ones that I have thought have just been absolutely mince and other people have loved. Now again, like I've said, actually probably a good video to point you towards would be my Truth About PR opinions, and the Pacifica stuff. The Pacifica stuff was awful. I really hated it, and loads of people said they liked it, and as I've said, it's very much a personal opinion. If you like something, I'm trying to open something by the way, if you can see me footering about down here, but if you like something and somebody else doesn't, or it really works for you and it doesn't for them, like, it's okay, we're allowed to have totally different opinions, it's absolutely fine. But I honestly just thought those products were absolutely lackluster, and people really rave about Pacifica, and I think they might do really nice kind of skin products as well. I'm going to start with eyes, so I'm going to go in with this Tom Ford palette. It's a little quad, and I believe it's called Kaki Velours, is that right? Velours Kaki, I should say. This is it here. Now it's very muted for me, admittedly so, but we're going to try and do something. I've got a couple other things that I might stick over the top to make it a little bit more festive, Christmassy, so I'm gonna give this a go. But yeah, it's perfectly acceptable to not like things other people like. Another one that I might say that I wasn't overly taken with was from DERMATICA, and that was the, oh my god, what was it called? It wasn't Contour Balm. It was like their cream version of a bronzer, which actually, I've just opened a cream version of a bronzer from Studio London, which was a £5, so we'll just see what that's like. It was more the tone for me. The same with actually the Fenty bronzers. I really fucking didn't like the Fenty cream bronzers, and I love cream products. But what I found with the Fenty ones and the DERMATICA one was the tone was never right for me. They were just either a little too olive or a little too orange. And I don't know what it is. Like, I am looking for ruddy. I am looking for bronze with a hint of red, and that is because as I am naturally very pale, as you can see, and this is with a slightly darker foundation on, I actually need something that's going to make me look a little bit more flushed by the sun rather than orange or olive, because I'm not olive skinned and I'm not, do you know that way? And it's difficult because I've got a friend with red hair who's got really pale, like that beautiful porcelain type of skin. I don't have that type of skin, and because I've got darker hair and dark features, I can pull off bronze a bit better than someone who's like an English rose. But it's a difficult one. Like, I always really struggle with bronzers, but I remember the tones of the Fenty and the DERMATICA, which I think DERMATICA might be coming out with more shades. They just didn't work for me, and I just wasn't blown away with them. There was other cream bronzers or liquid bronzers that I was loving at the time when they came out, and I'm just like, not that fussed. If it was an actual product, like a product that loads of different brands make that I don't like, then that's a difficult one, because I think products, there's just so many different things that I do like, but there are things that I would maybe think I would never think to buy that. If somebody's going to bring out a super duper heavy coverage foundation, I'm probably not going to think to buy that. The same with concealers, like Stay Fix concealers, probably like setting sprays and stuff. I don't ever really use a setting spray, ever, if I'm honest with you. And it's not that I don't like them or I've never tried them, I just don't feel the need. Maybe because I've got slightly drier skin, I just don't feel the need. I've just taken the kind of beigey colour and I'm now putting this nice brown colour in here. I have to say, the beige one I was a bit like, meh, fine. But this brown, what would you call it? It's like, it's not silvery, but it's not gold either. This is really, maybe like old gold, would you say that? But like a deeper colour. This is a really pretty shadow. But yeah, I can't say there's an individual product I like, but there are things that I just think I wouldn't buy that. Fee, for instance, their recent palette, the 90s palette, I just thought I'm never going to buy that because I'm not a cool toned wearing girl. And it's funny because I actually seen it in the shop, and then I seen one of the staff members, they had this gorgeous sparkle in their eyes, and I was like, what is that? That's so nice. And he was like, it's actually acid wash out of the 90s palette. And I was like, no, I don't need to buy it for one fucking shade. But it did look really good, and I've seen loads of people using it and it looked fucking amazing, but I'm just like, no, Alana, you don't need that right now. Question number 2, popular makeup product brand that everyone else seems to hate but you love. Now that's a tricky one. So I don't think there's like a brand or a product I could pick, because I think nowadays in the makeup atmosphere, this tag was obviously made back in 2016 or 18 or something like that. I think nowadays, I'm going to take the green, I'm going to do some sort of halo eye thing, I don't know what. But I think nowadays people are a lot more welcoming of differing opinions. I feel like as if back in the day, it was like there could be one product everybody was talking about and they may have really loved it, but then there might have been one odd person that was like, I fucking can't stand this. Sorry, I just was taking a wee minute there to blend this because these are super pigmented. Super duper pigmented. Just go with care, I would say, if you're buying this. Yeah, so I feel like nowadays people are a lot more accepting of different opinions and what have you. They're not quite as like, oh my god, can't believe you don't like that, or vice versa. But I would maybe say like a product or a brand that's going to be hit or miss is going to be something like Glossier. Obviously a fan, I love them, but I think it's one of these things that this is a brand that people might be like, I don't get it, like you can't see anything, it's very natural. Or for instance, like the lipstick's very sheer, I don't understand, like what's the point, I'd rather get one that has more pigmentation, blah blah blah, opacity. And I get that, but I think you're either a lover or a hater of that brand. And I'm sure there's loads of other brands that are very like that. I'm just gonna take a clean brush because I feel like things are getting a little out of hand here. And I think Glossier would probably be that thing. And I'd probably say the Generation G lipsticks are probably that thing, because I completely understand why people would be like, I don't get this lipstick. But I also know there's a million people like me who are like, these are my favourite thing because they're so quick and easy to use. So what I'm going to say about this shadow, just briefly, is I took the green one, so like this one here. There's a darker green as well, like a more, this is kind of a woodsy green, I'd say. This is like a forest green. And in here, it looks amazing. It looks really, really effective. It's very, very like, it's almost like a smoky black with like a glitter over the top. It's like a deep, dark, smoky shadow, and then the shimmer in it is like a golden green colour. But then see on this side here, when I've put it on here, I've buffed it out with a clean brush, and it's kind of went to not very much. It's just the deep smoky shade rather than any of the green shade. So question 3 is a makeup collab that you didn't like or you weren't interested in. I could tell you a fucking million of them, if I'm honest with you. I feel like this is one of these things as well, again, because this was done at a different time. I feel like there was a point where collaborations and things like that with YouTubers or celebrities were very few and far between. And now they are just oversaturated on the market. And now, if I'm honest with you, see the amount of people, see the amount of fucking celebrities that are doing skincare. Brad Pitt, Jared Leto, like all these fuckers that I'm just like, get back in your box. Get back in that acting box. You don't need to be here doing that. You really don't. And it's not that I don't, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But it's one of these things that I just think, why? Like, you have £1 million trillion. Like, you do not need any more money. Why do you need to bring that out? Yes, maybe you're a gentleman who's looking very well for his age. Maybe you're a gentleman who's aged very gracefully and you're looking well for it. Fine. But also, it's a little bit like what the Kardashians do. You're not telling me, Brad, that you aren't going for a facial, maybe had a little bit of a filler, maybe had a little nip tuck or some other kind of procedure. I'm not saying that for definite. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that these people have strict skincare regimes, strict facialists, dermatologists, all this kind of stuff. And they are doing these things in a way, like, you're not going to fucking look like Brad Pitt at the same age as him if you're just Joe Blogs in the street. Not if you're not looking after your skin the way he is. And is it because you're using his, and what was it, like £250 serum or eye cream, whatever the fuck it was he was doing? Honestly, like, just no. And as for Jared Leto, I know I'm focusing on these two, but they're the most recent ones that I can think about. I know there's been more since. But Jared Leto is like dubious at the best of times. Like, whoever thought it was a good idea to collaborate with that man when, you know, he was running a cult and he's been accused of like sexual abuse and sexual misconduct, stuff like, who thought that was a good idea? Come on. So there's $1 million collaborations now that I could say I am absolutely fucking not interested in. Those two in particular that I will say at the moment. But as for makeup, I'm trying to think if there's been any recently that I really can't be arsed with. Ariana Grande, the REM Beauty, no interest whatsoever. I think it looks like Miss Sporty makeup. I'm not saying that it's that quality. If you don't know what Miss Sporty is, it was a brand that is like the equivalent of less than Wet n Wild in America. I don't know, like, it was a proper like teenage brand when I was younger. Like, if you had Miss Sporty makeup, it was like cheap stuff. But I'm not saying it wasn't bad. It was great. It was cheap, cheerful, budget makeup. But I think the REM Beauty stuff looks like that, and I'm like, it's so expensive and it looks so cheap. It's meant to be maybe that nostalgic 2000s era. I'm not into it. I was there, mate. I'm not into it. I suppose the thing is as well, is Brad and Gerard's thing a collab? Maybe not, because they're launching their own brand. So how, I don't know. I just can't be arsed with it though. What I will say is though, that the kind of era of, and I think Angelica said this as well, the era of kind of collabs where it's just any old, you know, maybe they're an influencer. Now I think if you're an influencer and you're a small creator, like someone who's even got, you know, 50,000 people, you might get approached for a collab from a brand. You might. Or if you've got 100,000 people, like Angelica herself done a collab with Kaleidos, which was absolutely fucking amazing. So I feel like lots of smaller people are now approached from brands to do things like this, whereas before it was only the big boys that were getting to do it. So it's quite nice to see smaller creators getting to do that. But the important thing is to remember that it needs to be different. It needs to be like Angelica's was, like totally different and out there. I feel like, for instance, Be Perfect Cosmetics are still quite guilty of just pulling some sort of girl from Love Island, slapping her name on the front of a palette that's got very basic tones in it and maybe like a glowy highlight for that very glam look. They're very guilty of doing that still, and that bores the shit out of me, I have to be honest with you. I just have no interest in that kind of thing. And it's not to say I don't like that look or that people shouldn't be wearing that look. That's great if that's your thing, but it's not something I want to buy because it's already out there from other brands and you don't need to bother your arse with it. So I'm kind of leaving the Tom Ford there. I know you're probably thinking that looks very half done, but what I'm gonna say, this shade here is quite nice. It's like a neutral, right? Can you see my shit on the table? This shade here is like a neutral. It's nice. It's got a slight shimmer to it, but not too much. Very, very subtle. This shade here is a beautiful old gold kind of colour, but very, very dark, okay? They're all very, very dark. So if you're doing this look, it's going to be very difficult to get dimension, to get like a variation of shades, because these two are very, very similar once they're on the eye. This is obviously a little lighter and this one's a little darker, but they're all very, very subtly similar. I'm going to zoom you in so you can see. So this is what I've done so far, and as I can say, that green one there, that one is really, this isn't the brush I used by the way, that is really, really dark in there. And on the outer corners I used the kind of old gold colour, and then this which looked more like an emerald. Can I just swatch these next to each other? That is them there. And actually the emerald colour is actually a little bit lighter than the other green, and I wasn't expecting that, and that's what I kind of put in here. It's subtle, it's very subtle. I'm not entirely sure how you would, I think if you're going to create a whole look, you're going to just do a kind of one shade all over the lid and it would probably look pretty amazing, and or maybe use one as a liner and then something as a subtle something outer corner here. But 70 quid 70 quid. Would I purchase one of these ever again with my own pennies for 70 quid? I think it would have to be one that had a little bit more variation in the colour. These three are just very, very dark, and to get, I don't know, to get like a varying look on it, it's quite tough. Again, I am not a makeup artist. I know there'll be people watching this being like, that would be so easy, you're shit. But I do feel like, also the brown one I put under here as well, so you can see there's a little bit of glow to the brown one. But this brown one, not that brown one. I'm just a little bit like, I don't know where I would take this look unless you just put a green all over the eye and done a super smoky eye. Number 4 is a popular makeup step that you never ever do. I don't think there is a makeup step that I never do now. I have tried everything at least once, but what I definitely don't do, and I think again I see it fading out now, I don't see it quite as regularly as I used to, is baking. I never ever done baking. I was never into baking. I never ever done that. Contouring, sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. Today I might do a little bit of it, but it's never ever like when you see the people on Instagram and they're doing like, oh okay, so I've got my base on, I'm now going to put the contour, then I've got the blush, then I've got the hat. I never do makeup like that ever, because I don't know where the look is going to go. I don't know what the eyes are going to do. I might need less on the skin because the eyes are more bold. I might want more on the skin because the eyes are very, very subtle. It just depends. So I never ever don't do anything, but I don't do anything regularly. And I would have to say things like baking, setting, lashes, I don't wear that often. Do you know what I mean? I might put on some today just for the fun of it, because I did buy a set from Vive actually. But I don't really do full glam that often. I'm going to go in with this from Natasha Denona. That is the Mini Gold palette, because I think this one here, which is gold but it's got a lovely hint of khaki green to it as well, will be beautiful, because I think this just needs something. And I am just going to put that right here. There, and it's just lifted it so much nicer. I don't know, just think you need a little pop of something in your palette, Tom. But I guess ladies who are shopping for Tom Ford, they might be subtle ladies, I don't know. There, I've just added a little bit of the gold on the top there. It needs it. It just needs a little something. Otherwise it's just all dark and moody and not much else happening. And yeah, that's me. Okay, so as we move on to question 5, I'm going to do some brow stuff. Popular beauty influencer who you don't subscribe to / watch. This is hot, shady tea though. Lol. Here's the thing. I think that in this day and age, and I'm well aware people maybe watch me or have seen me or maybe started following me and then thought, oh god, no, she's not for me, and unfollow. It happens. It's fine. Like, you're allowed to fucking decide, maybe this person wasn't the person I wanted to be watching. For me, it's a little bit like, if it doesn't help your mental health, I'm saying it in inverted commas, but if you're following someone and it doesn't inspire you, it doesn't make you feel good, or you think, I just see you doing the same stuff all the time, which I am guilty of, I understand why people would unfollow or not want to follow. And yes, there are a few huge influencers out there who I have lots of friends who follow them, and I see them share their content, but I maybe don't follow them. And it's not a badness, it's not that I don't like them, it's not that I don't respect their talent and think that they're really, really good. What I'm going to say about this my brow stuff is it's very wet and quite messy, so let's just get this under control. But it's more like a mascara for your brows, just be aware. If I'd known that, I'd have scraped some off on the side, but obviously I didn't know before I was going to start using it. So yeah, influencers that I don't follow. Yes, there are a few that are big super influencers that I just don't follow, and just either never have, or maybe I used to and their content just isn't my cup of tea anymore, or maybe it's just stuff that doesn't make me feel good from a personal point of view. Now this is me being very vulnerable now. But if I'm looking at someone who's like really objectively, obviously beautiful and pretty all the time, sometimes that can affect your own like stance on things. It can be like, well, how come I don't like? And if things start getting in your head like that, it's maybe good just to step away. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just mute, because it's not because I don't respect their talent and their beauty and what they do, but sometimes it's just a little bit too much to be seeing things like that all the time. I don't know if anybody else feels like that. There are influencers as well that I've just grown apart from. I just think like, I don't really need that content in my life anymore. I used to be a really avid fan of people like Anna from the Anna Edit and Lily Pebbles and stuff like that. And both of them still really good influencers, creators, things like that. But what I find is at the moment, the way their life's going, because they've had children, they have catered their channels and content to be more either family orientated or lifestyle orientated. It's less about the beauty. They do still have a bit of beauty in there, but not so much. It seems very curated now, and that's not a dig at them, because I get why they're doing it. But at the same time, I'm a little bit like, I still want to see little bits of you. I still want to see. And then when they sit down and do beauty things, it's always the same look. It's always the same stuff. And like I say, I'm guilty of it myself. But it's just new products. There's not any, I don't know. It's just like they're doing the same look, but with new products. And my thinking is, if you already own those products, what was the point in buying the new one to get the exact same look? I know I'm a hypocrite. I get it. People are allowed to just come and go as they please. People can be like, do you know what? I really love what they're doing. I really like what they're doing now. Love this content. I absolutely adore Teresa Is Dead. I think she is hilarious. I love Angelica Nyquist still. Fantastic. Kelly over at Keep Beauty Real keeps it very much to beauty and hair care, stuff like that. Like, I like watching different people for different things. And on Instagram, for instance, the only thing that kind of puts me off is if I just keep seeing either the same things or really obvious advertising. Like, one thing that will make me put off an influencer in a heartbeat is if you are saying, oh, blah, 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 I love this product, blah, 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 and then down the bottom somewhere there's a sneaky little ad. No, just put it at the top or put it right next to the product that you're talking about. It's very, very difficult, and I kind of hinted to this in my Black Friday haul video. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Legendary Lashes, by the way, volume 2. And I had said it's very difficult because sometimes I try my best to put things on screen, I try my best to do this, and sometimes you just forget. Sometimes you just are human and you forgot to put it in and you think, I am not going back to edit a whole video. So you put it down in your description box. You try your best to do it right. But there are other influencers out there that are just blatantly getting sent stuff, blatantly trying stuff, and they're not disclosing it, and it'll be down somewhere in the bottom, it'll say gifted, it'll say this. I will always put ad gifted or ad PR because that is what you should be doing. Legally, the ASA, I will leave the link down below if you want to see it, say that you should be putting ad in the first bit of a description so that people can see it before they even have to drop down the rest of the description. That can be very difficult because also with that, when people see ad, they instantly think you've been paid for it, which isn't the fact. It isn't the way, and especially for smaller creators like myself, I have never ever been paid for anything. Not for a single thing on YouTube. I have affiliate links that I make a little bit of a kickback off of, but I've never been approached by a brand to say, can you make a video for us? Can you post a post for us in exchange for cash monies? Never ever has that ever happened. But you still have to put ad on things even if that hasn't happened. But I think the general consensus from Joe Public is that if they see ad, that you have been paid to do that. And the fact that I see really big influencers clearly receiving PR or clearly have been kind of, oh, we'll send you this and whatever else, will give you a code that they're going to make kickback on, and they just scuttle a wee ad somewhere down the bottom, no, not cool. And also, it's obviously dependent on where you are in the world because the legalities are a little different all over the place. I actually really like this mascara. I think it's really nice. This is maybe the third time I've tried it, and I think it's a really nice mascara. It's definitely more of a volumizing mascara, and I think I mentioned on Instagram as well, like, the brush looks like as if it's been chewed by your cat. It looks fucking horrific. But actually, it's really quite a nice mascara. So I have probably went a little bit more spider eyes than I usually like to go with them, but I figured it's a really dark look and I want my lashes to seem a little bit more pop. So there's some shady tea without actually spilling super shady tea, because I would never ever sit and be like, I fucking hate this person, I hate that. I don't know people. I don't know people if I'm watching them vicariously through a fucking lens or on Instagram and seeing them on a grid. I don't know them, so I would never say that. But yeah, there has been people I've unfollowed over the years, and people, like I say, for your own mental health, sometimes you're like, I just need to step away from this content at the moment, and I think you have to respect that. A popular makeup product or brand that you don't use or support anymore. You here will know that Beauty Pie is one that I am no longer subscribed to and do not promote and would not suggest that you buy from. If you are already subscribed to them and you have a subscription with them, there are some items from them that are very nice, but I would not say go and sign up to Beauty Pie. I've had some pretty shitty customer service from them. I had the founder, like the creator, Marcia Kilgour, actually have a little bit of an argument with me in the comments underneath an Instagram post. Professional. Yeah, I'm just not into it, and the products, so it's a little bit like a cult. You have to be subscribed to get this price, blah blah blah. And I think as well that the products, some of them really really nice, a lot of them very very average. No, not for me. I'm going to take this from Studio London, which is the cream bronzer, and I'm going to take this is the Lara Faye F22, which I have not used since the summer because it is one that I like to use with a cream bronzer, and I've not used cream bronzer since the summer, and I'm gonna just give this one a little go. It's very balmy, not too pigmented, which actually for me, that works really well because it's more like a balm with a hint of colour to it, and that is going to be a little bit more subtle on my skin. Another brand that I don't support anymore, and I know people have fluctuated on this one, was Hourglass, because initially people were calling them out because of their shade range, it was shit. And then they done a marketing campaign where they showed a black model with a new palette in suggestion that they had kind of brought out something for people with deeper skin tones, but all the shades in the palette were ones they already had. They were just duping people into thinking that that was the case. Now I know there's big beauty brands have done a million things that are very questionable, and if you're honest with yourself, you could probably cancel every single one of them for something or other. It's very difficult to be just like, I'm cancelling a brand, I'm never ever using them again. I find that you have to be a little bit more like, well, what have they done to show that they have atoned for their mistakes and things like that? Is atoned the right word? Maybe not, I'm sorry, but you know what I mean. What have you done to actually show that you cannot apologise, make yourself better, etc. I think you have to do that. Angelica again had said a similar thing. And there's been brands that I've come and go with over the years, and like I say, if you wanted, you could absolutely cancel every single brand out there. You could, you absolutely could. Also for the fact that you know, brands are owned by certain other umbrella brands. So if you don't like this brand and they're actually owned by another brand, how do you work that? Like, it's a difficult situation. So I think you have to be open to a little bit of, right, are we going to accept this apology? What have they done to make things better? I know at the moment Natasha Denona have got a hell of a scandal with someone who I actually know through Instagram, Stephen. They were selling products that had carmine in it and they weren't disclosing that, and he ended up with a really bad reaction on his eyes. And actually they haven't really owned up to it, they haven't took accountability for it. I don't think that means people are going to stop buying Natasha Denona. I am not going to stop using my palette because of that, and that's not because I don't support Stephen. I think what they have done is fucking ridiculous. But I also paid 60 quid for my palette, and I'm not gonna not use it because it would be wasteful in my life. But I completely respect Stephen for boycotting them and saying I'm not doing this, and for calling them out, because that is what should happen. So I think it's a very difficult one. You have to decide personally for you who you want to buy from and who you don't. Beauty Pie for me is one I will not buy from. Again, I just didn't like what Hourglass done with their marketing, and that was enough for me. And I haven't missed not buying them. They haven't brought anything out that I'm like, oh god, I really wish I could buy them. I'm not like stopping myself buying them, but they haven't brought anything out that I've been that bothered about. So that's another one. I can't think if I've got anybody else that I'm like, not that fussed with. I am going to take, right, I thought about it, a little bit of the Oma Beauty It's Complicated lip tint oil thing and a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury Tinted Love. I feel like this might be a similar thing but a very, very different texture. And these are, yes, a lip tint slash oil, but they leave such a gorgeous tint that then when they're on your cheeks like a stain, it's luscious. And this one is a kind of neutral. So what I'm going to do with this actually is take a little bit of a stippling brush and take that lip tint oil and pop it here, so you can see the colour that happens on my face. And you're probably thinking, that's an oil, what the hell? But it leaves a lovely dewiness on the skin. And what I will say is, if you're using this on your lip, the dewiness, like the oil, doesn't stay, but it soaks in and it leaves them very comfortable on the lip as well. I'm really enjoying these from Oma. I think they're very, very nice. As I said, I bought this one with my own money. I think they're very, very nice. And I think the versatility of them as well, if you just take this with you, you got lip, cheek, all in one, blah, blah, blah. It depends where you're going. And now I'm going to try the Tinted Love from Charlotte, because as I said, I needed to play with this more. I didn't know how this was going to work. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to pop it on the back of my hand first. I'm going to take another stippling brush and I'm going to pop that one on this side. Okay, so what I'm thinking at the moment, Charlotte, first impressions, not overly impressed with this. So I'm just going to pop another little bit of this one on the other side to match. A makeup trend that you have no interest in trying. Okay, again, I think that's kind of changed over the years. If you'd asked me this a few years ago, I'd have been like, I have no interest in trying like full bake, full beat, full contour, a la Kim Kardashian, a la drag style makeup. I just had no interest in it because it's not something I would do on the daily. It might be something that I would do, like, I don't know, for a video, but even then, like, if I'm staying true to myself, I wouldn't have done super duper beat makeup, because it's just not what I would wear. Even on a night out, it's not what I would wear. I may do a really big eye, but my skin is never going to be super duper full on. Even when I do it, it's always a little bit pared back. It's never, as I said already, like when you see them and they've got like all the stuff drawn on their face and then they use a sponge to bite it all. Like, it's just not what I do. So I'm going to just pop on some concealer. Yeah, I picked up the Vive one, I know. I have the shade Light 3. Reason being because I tried the system online thing, and it said if I was using Glossier, then I was to do Light 2, and it said if I was using Shiseido, I was to be Light 4, and I was like, the two are very different. Light 4 is what Jamie Genevieve wears, and I'm like, no way, she's got darker skin than me because she tans and things. So yeah, a makeup trend that you're not interested in trying, it's definitely that full beat thing, but I don't see as much of that now, I have to say. I really don't. It's all a little bit more pared down, I find. You still see it, there's still people doing it, but I think that the youth, the TikTok teens and all that kind of stuff, I'm not being condescending when I say that, like people who are younger than myself and interested in makeup, they don't really want to see that either anymore. There is the odd crowd that are still doing it, which is fine, and if it's not what you're into, that's absolutely fine, but I feel like we see less and less of it now. So I would have said that, but also what I'm going to say is, with the teens in the TikTok crowd. Those of you who are doing the 2000s stuff, I'm just like, no. No. If you're gonna do the 2000s stuff properly, you need to do it and look like shit. Let's face it. Like your skinny eyebrows, your blue frosty eyeshadow, and your pink glossy, like sparkly lipstick, some hair mascara. You need to look like shit. You guys are doing it and making yourself look really, really good. But what I will say is the skinny eyebrows, there was a hint that that may come back. No. No. And don't do it. I'm telling you now. As your shitey elder millennial, don't fucking do it. My mother said to me when I was maybe like 11 to 13, don't ever touch your eyebrows, because I done it in the 80s and I regretted it. And I was like, okay, fine, mum. But also terrified of my mother. So if I had done it, terrified of the consequences. So I was like, all right, mum, I'll not do that, that's fine. And for that reason, I have the brows that I have today. Swings and roundabout, things will come and go. Your eyebrows will not grow back the same if you pluck them all out. Make them look a little skinnier. If you've got big bush eyebrows like me, it's difficult, I know. Just see it out. Do the other trends and leave the brows alone. Don't make them full and bushy like me. Just leave them to themselves. Don't do it. That's what I'm going to say. I have no interest in trying it. Don't want to try it, never will. Last question. A makeup product that was better in theory than when you used it, either swatched better or worked better on others than you. That's a tough one. Generally you can make them work, kind of. Like I could say the Pacifica stuff again. You could make them work though, you could. But I didn't like them. I didn't think they were very good. I'm just going to go on with lips here. I'm going to try the Charlotte Tilbury one. This is Walk of a Star. One that I didn't enjoy at all was the Rare Beauty foundation. The original one. I want to say it was a soft matte one. I did not enjoy that at all. The one from recently, the one from IT Cosmetics, I really wasn't that fussed about either. That was kind of boring. The blush, it looked pretty in the pan and all that, but then when I actually tried it on, I was like, this is pish, where is it? Ooh, that's nice. One that I wasn't that fussed for as well was the Rare Beauty, like the pot blushes, not pot blushes, but they were in like the domes. I liked the liquid blushes from them, but the actual like blush in the little compact, I always thought that was a little bit shit as well. I wasn't that into that. So that was the end of the last question. That's me finished. I've put some makeup on my face. The lipstick from Charlotte, yes, I think it's very nice. I've kind of mentioned before, I think with their deeper shades, they do take a little bit more building. They're not quite as opaque on first swipe. So that's not anything new, but I do think the colour is very nice. If you have any unpopular opinions, please leave them down below. I would love to know them. Let me know if you like this look and if you're going to try it yourself. And I hope you're all having a lovely festive season. I'll see you all again in the next one. Bye.